Okay, we're on. It's the final episode of the season. Season 1, episode 9. Let's go. This is Eastside Stories, a behind-the-scenes look at the creation of EastSiders, the series, with me, series creator Kit Williamson. Today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 9, the season finale, and what I thought might have been the series finale, because honestly, when we finished the season, I had no idea if we were going to keep making it or not. We are back in the present day, and Jeremy is making pancakes in his underwear. Who doesn't want to wake up to that, right, Tom? Tom stays in bed for a minute and finds Cal's print rolled up in the corner. Not very well hidden, Jeremy, if you're gonna sneak around and buy somebody's ex-boyfriend's print. He comes down and confronts him about it, and things get weird fast. Because let's be honest, that's kind of stalker behavior. Back at Cal and Tom's apartment, Cal is a mess. And Kathy's right, he looks like shit. This scene was originally scripted to include the cat. The cat refused to participate. Yet again, diva behavior. Kathy comes over to take care of Cal. She blow dries his hair and makes, one of those fucking things. No. Ooh, get it out of there.
How?
Sorry for the interruption there. We were just attacked by a giant fig eater beetle, which during mating season in Los Angeles loves to fly through the French doors of my apartment and make a lot of noise and freak out my cat.
It's horrible.
Moving on. Cal's a mess. Kathy calls it out. She makes him take a shower. She blow dries his hair. She puts pants on him, and she makes him put on shoes. Because if you don't put on shoes, the pants come right off. This is true. Anybody who has ever been where Cal is right now knows that this is true. And Kathy's just a really incredible friend. Even though they had a huge fight the night before, and Cal was a huge dick to her, she's already forgiven him because she understands just how dark his life is right now, and that's no excuse for his behavior, but ultimately their friendship is stronger than one fight. Sorry.
Shut up, I already forgave you.
I think that that's part of what this season is really about, is understanding that people have flaws and that people fuck up. They don't necessarily mean to hurt one another, but they do. We all hurt each other all the time. It doesn't excuse bad behavior. And a lot of these characters are in toxic relationships, but they're trying not to be. They're trying to be better people, and that's ultimately, at the end of the day, what really matters. Are you trying to be a good person or not? Because we all fuck up. Nobody's perfect. I hate stories about perfect people. I hate stories about people who don't fuck up. I think that it's boring and it's moralizing, and I'm not out to tell people how to act. I'm simply out to suggest that we have greater empathy and understanding for one another, because we are all ultimately human. Soapbox. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox and talk about the rest of the episode. I want everybody to notice that there's a huge rip in the couch at this point, because this was a $300 couch that we got off of Craigslist. Everything in our apartment at this point had come from St. Vincent de Paul or Craigslist. And it's a miracle that we didn't get bed bugs when we moved to Los Angeles. In short, John and I were as broke as Cal and Tom were. After this show, the couch took a few more hits, and I feel like the cat really took out its aggression on the couch, so we had to get rid of it and replace it with another Craigslist couch. Now we have this beautiful couch. Tom breaks up with Jeremy in an alleyway, in part because Jeremy says that he understands what Cal went through, and Tom has to face the truth that he and Jeremy didn't hold hands at his grandmother's funeral. They didn't get STD tests together. They didn't lose their virginity to one another. They didn't have a house and a life and a cat together. And long story short, what they have is a fairy tale. It's a fiction. They're playing house, and they're not being honest with one another. Jeremy finds some self-respect, finally, and walks away from the situation.
I wanted you, Tom. And when you figure out who the fuck that is, I won't be waiting.
He's not going to be talked to that way, and he's not going to be reduced to a rebound. He also finds his light really, really well. Notice that moment where he's backing up, he's in the shadows, bam, in the light, and then backs into the shadows again. Ian and Kathy hook up again because they just broke back mountain, don't know how to quit one another, and they finally have it out and say everything that they've been thinking and feeling to one another. Maybe because Kathy recognizes just how selfish Cal has been with her, and that maybe she has been up in her own feelings the way that Cal had with Ian. It's a snake eating its own tail. Long story short, Ian screams into Kathy's boobs, and all is well for now. I don't necessarily recommend screaming into boobs as like a form of conflict resolution, but I think in this instance, Ian wasn't able to really get out how he was feeling about everything that had happened, and Kathy wasn't in a place where she was really accepting that he was allowed to have feelings about everything that happened. She just wanted him to fall right back into the relationship. For them to have that moment, it gave both of them catharsis and let them move on from what had happened. Back at the apartment, Cal forgot to label everything. He's such an idiot. He's having to open up all of the boxes, just like he's having to open up all the old wounds balloons of what happened in their relationship. Oh. Tom comes home and tells him that he broke up with Jeremy. They both agree that maybe they need to be single for a while and see what that's like. Cal didn't think he could hurt Tom, but he fucking did. And the most hurtful thing of all is they have to split up Christmas. I mean, that's a nightmare. Can you imagine having to go through the Christmas ornaments and be like, no, this memory's not yours anymore? Terrible. You notice on the boxes, because we got all of them from restaurants and bars, they say fragile, fragile, just like how. They also say beer, which is appropriate for Cal and Tom. 64 ounces! So Cal and Tom lay down on the floor and we shoot them from overhead like we shot a lot of the intimate scenes from the season. This kind of happened by accident because the first shot was storyboarded as happening from above, and I realized how intimate that was and that I hadn't seen that as a motif really before in a web series, so I decided that was going to be one of our visual sort of themes. What better way to end the show than how the show began, which is an overhead shot showing where they are in relationship to one another. In the beginning, Tom's on the floor and Cal's in bed, and at the end, they're both on the floor together because they both fucked up, wallowing in the failure of their relationship. They have a post-mortem and they decide to move on. But are they really done with one another? As the camera pulls up and back, we notice that they've been holding hands this entire time. Fun fact, we really didn't have the equipment to do this shot, so we used the jib that we had used before and we placed it on a towel and had two PAs pulling the towel back slowly as the director of photography operated the jib, pulling it up. We did about like 10 takes of this. My favorite take of this, other than the one that we ended up using, got fucked up because a fly landed on my face. Independent filmmaking 101, of course a fly lands on your face the second you get the jib move right. So at this point, I honestly didn't know if the show would continue. I'd written it in such a way that I thought it would hopefully be satisfying, albeit pretty sad if the show ended this way, with a glimmer of hope with their hands together. But I had no idea like whether we could crowdfund an additional season. You know, I'll be honest, a part of me was hoping that maybe we would get picked up for an additional season by Logo, but I don't know if I can name the last gay thing that they financed. Logo doesn't really seem to be in the business of financing scripted narrative LGBT content. Don't really think anybody is right now. It's very, very rare that we get a show like EastSiders on the air. We've had Looking half a decade before, we had Queer as Folk. Who knows when it's gonna happen again? That's one of the reasons why we decided to continue the show, and we launched a crowdfunding campaign for season 2 for $125,000 because we've learned our lessons in the past and that we really hadn't raised anywhere near enough money to shoot a full season of the show for $26,000. Spoiler alert, we found out that $125,000 wasn't really enough money to shoot a full season of 6 half hours either. So for those of you wondering why the show takes so long to make compared to a network television show, it's because we have a lot less money. A show like Looking on HBO, for example, has more money for 5 minutes of an episode than we've had for all 3 seasons of the show so far combined. We forged a relationship with Wolf Video and put the show out on DVD. We thought maybe that was going to be over, but people kept writing to us, people kept asking us when the show was going to come back, and then I had an idea. That's it for this episode. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more behind the scenes videos, and click that little Kickstarter link if you'd like to see a season 4.